Hello everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name's Alexis and today we are reviewing the book Wayward Son by Rainbow Rowell. So if you don't already know, this book is the second book in the Simon Snow series. I believe she's going to write some more in this series, but the first book, I've actually done another book review on it as well, and I'll link that in the eye icon as well as in the description below, so feel free to check that out, probably before you check this one out. I mean, maybe you want to watch them in backwards order, who knows, but so I will have a little bit of a rundown detail of what the book is, just in case if you have not read the book and it sounds interesting. And then I of course will include spoilery parts at the end of the video, and I will tell you beforehand so you can click off if you do want to go ahead and read this book. I also feel like I should say that I haven't rated this on Goodreads yet. I think I haven't actually added it to my books at all, so I did read it though. I read it all pretty much this year. I think I started a little bit last year, but I did do the majority of the reading this year, and I would say it's pretty similar in ranking or rating wise to the first book, where it's probably just shy of a 4. I think it's really good. Maybe that's me being really harsh. So I would say it's probably like a 3.8, 3.9 in my opinion. It's definitely above average. That's just me being harsh. Hopefully you don't come at me for that opinion. I mean, it's great and it's definitely entertaining, but of course, just like a lot of other stuff, there are some kind of plot hole-y things. I don't really think I'm going to go into those today, mainly because I don't remember all of them, and I don't really like particularly changing points of view. I think I might have mentioned this in my last video on the series, so in the first book on Carry On, but I don't like switching points of view. It's one of my just like nitpicky things. I don't know why I don't like it. I think I like being in one person's mind and exploring the world through their lens and not jumping back. But again, that's a personal preference. That's one of the reasons why I knocked it down a little bit, and honestly, it's a good book. I would recommend it if you are into magic systems and such things and like works of fiction. I think that this is definitely a good YA book for people who are interested. So, by the way, before we get too much further in, I love the covers. Let me go get the other one too. I mean, this one was a paperback that I have, but the hardcover of this book is just so, you see the silver foil, it just looks so pretty. Anyway, so in Wayward Son, we pick up about 1.5 years after the first book ended. And of course we have our main characters. They're all back. Baz, Penny, Simon, and Agatha. And so at the very end of Carry On, Simon defeated the humdrum, but also he gave all of his powers, all of his magical ability in doing so. So he no longer has any magical powers at all, and he has been pretty defeated in this aspect because that was a major part of his life. Especially, it was the best part of his life because that meant he had his friends. That's where all of his friends came from. And that's where, of course, he met Baz, who he is in a relationship with. And, of course, you know, his best friend Penny, his ex-girlfriend Agatha, all these people that were really important to him for the majority of his life and really made some of his pivotal growing years, I guess, is the best way to say, we're all at the Watford school. And so, of course, he no longer has magic. That's where he went to go get, or like train, not really get magic, but train and become a better magician. And now he can't do that anymore. So naturally, he is very defeated, he's depressed, and he doesn't have the sparks and the energy that he really had in the first book, which I think is a great addition, considering that it really shows that how this hero is now after the story, really depressed and really just down, which I think that we don't necessarily get to see that too often, but it's a nice, refreshing kind of way to see this. It's just a different story, in my opinion. It's not too done, whereas some of the other stories where, oh, the great hero defeated the person or the evil being and then they all lived happily ever after and everyone had magic and all this other kind of stuff, but that doesn't happen here. So he is living with Penny because he didn't want to move in with Baz, considering they've lived all of their years at Wofford together. And Penny and Simon are living together. Baz comes over often. Agatha left England completely because she was so done with magic that she decided that she wanted to go to the US and go to California. So the story starts off with Penny just feeling like she wanted to go see her American boyfriend, whose name I can't remember right now. He really isn't that important. But so she went to go see her American boyfriend, and of course also she had this like weird gut feeling that something was wrong with Agatha, since Agatha wasn't responding to any of her phone calls, although that part was normal, but she wasn't even responding to texts and nothing at all. Basically, it was radio silence. And of course, we learn later that Agatha was just plain ignoring Penny and nothing was wrong at that time that she knew about. So the three of them, Baz, Simon, and Penny, decide to go to the US, starting in Chicago, and go all the way to California. They started in Chicago to meet Penny's boyfriend, who lives in Chicago. Sorry, I didn't clarify that at first. But so they drive from Chicago to California to help Agatha. And I think that's really the basics of the story. I don't really want to say too much more. So if you are interested in reading the book, I will put a description to some links of where you can find the book. Just some general, I think I bought it off Barnes & Noble, but there will be a few other places down in the description below if you're interested. And feel free to come back to this video when you've read the book. But if you don't mind spoilers or you've already read the book, then feel free to continue watching. So, Baz and Simon. Again, similar to the last book review, I just love their relationship. I kind of hated that the very beginning of the book was like, are they gonna break up? Literally, Simon wanted to break up in the very beginning, but it was all because he felt like he was being too depressed and that he didn't want to be a burden to Baz, which kind of, it broke my heart a little bit, because of course that's a normal feeling to feel, and it is very, I think one of the best parts of Rainbow Rowell's writing is that she does add these dimensions to these characters where they are often not just like the stereotypical characters, and they have a lot of real human emotions, such as depression, but also when you're in that state of depression and you are in a relationship, sometimes you can feel like you are a burden and you don't want to burden that person anymore, which makes you want to break up with them. And of course, you're breaking up with them when you don't really want to break up with them, simply because you feel like you're being a bad partner. So that naturally broke my heart, just because in the very first book, that's one of the reasons why I read it in one night, was because of, I accidentally spoiled it for myself and saw that they ended up in a relationship. Which again, in this book, there's kind of hinting at Simon questioning his sexuality. I mean, not hinting, because he's still not quite sure if he actually is into women, and that being, he wasn't sure if he really ever had feelings for Agatha. He knows he has feelings for Baz, but his sexuality is still a little bit ambiguous. I mean, plenty of people, especially at that age, don't necessarily know their sexuality, and I think it's definitely important to also show this aspect where it's okay to question your sexuality at any age, really. It's okay to question that. And here we have the main character doing that. Sorry if you can hear the music in the background. That is one of my neighbors deciding to play music. I think it might be my upstairs neighbor. So in the very beginning of the book, we're not really certain if, you know, Baz and Simon are going to make it out in a relationship. I had a feeling that if they did break up, it wasn't going to be a permanent situation though. So I don't know how much really is like you thinking, oh, they might not end up together, or the breakup is probably just temporary. Like, I highly doubt that Rainbow Rowell would do that, considering everybody loves Simon and Baz so much. So yeah, no. But I wouldn't put it past authors to do such things. I just don't think that she is one of those authors that would break up a relationship even though that there's so much fan backing. Also, just because there's a ton of fan backing doesn't mean you should keep a relationship together if you are an author. I'm not saying that at all. Just saying that a lot of times that does influence things. I love it when my neighbors play music really loudly. So, like I kind of mentioned a little bit earlier, of course they make it through, but they don't, it's not an easy relationship, as all of you know. And I think it really shows some of the relatability that Rainbow tries to put into her work. And I've started to notice that. This is actually the third book that I've read of hers. I read Fangirl, which then got me kind of into the idea of reading this series, of course. So another thing that I kind of like about this book is that the whole journey is coming from this idea where all of them are at a huge disadvantage. None of them really know the American terms, so they can't really do magic here as well as they could in England, because it is very much the speakers? The talkers is what the Americans are called. The people without magic, basically. The regular human beings without magic that are just using colloquial language, and that's what drives the magic. You have to use spells that are based on phrases that are very common in that specific area, which is a very interesting idea to think about. And again, I really like this magic system. I put that in the last book review. I'm gonna stop talking about the last book review because otherwise I'm just gonna have eyes popping up every 5 seconds. I promise that's the last one. But so they naturally have a disadvantage. Plus, Simon no longer has magic. So not only do they have to figure out how to navigate America, a very foreign place, which is huge, and they have to figure out what phrases they can use, how it will respond when they say those phrases and put magic to it, and also they're down a person. It's only Baz and Penny who can do the magic here, although, you know, maybe a little bit more Penny. Poor Baz is so used to all English phrases and is not used to it at all, and Penny at least had an American boyfriend, so has some things, kind of, a little to go off, just, you know, hearing some of the things that he might have said or he might have told her about. But again, still a very big disadvantage, and of course they both are very intelligent people. They're both the highest in the class. Well, Baz graduated highest, and even he admits that he probably would have graduated under Penny if she had continued with her second semester at Watford. Her second semester of her last year at Watford, I should say. So, of course, they end up going all the way to California, and they do get a guide. Why can't I think of his name? Shepherd. They do get a guide named Shepherd, and he meets up with them at, well, he first sees them at the Renaissance Fair, realizes that they are magicians, and then follows them, accidentally cornering them into a no magic zone, which of course means that they are now kind of stuck and ends up in a vampire brawl. I think, yeah, they had a few vampires. I think they didn't even know all the creatures that they were going up against, but there were at least a couple of vampires in that mix. And of course, it's kind of funny to see some of Simon's jealousy coming out in that moment. Is very, very funny to see. He does build up some type of alliance, some type of friendship with them, and trust. He builds trust with them eventually. Okay, so Editing Me has decided that I have rambled on long enough in the video about Shepherd without actually really getting to the point. So the point is that I actually liked seeing how their relationship kind of evolved and seeing how the differences between the two countries, England and the US, and how the magic systems, even though they're the exact same in both places, the magicians have slightly different points of views, where in America it's a lot more like free-for-all, and England, all of the magicians actually like come together to learn magic. And I don't know, I just thought it was interesting to see that, you know, these different like ideas and ideals in the different countries still are reflected in this actual work, and that Rainbow decided to add like this little touch. Overall, I do like this book. I do like the themes in this book. I like the characters. I already knew most of them. I wish there were more in a way, and I think you could do that. It's like, I just wish there were more background characters. Not necessarily them doing anything. I think it's good to have and to focus on the main characters, but we don't see anyone besides Penny, Agatha, Simon, and Baz, really. And of course now we have Shepherd added to the mix, and we have just Shepherd added to the mix, really. And we did have a few background characters in that Agatha has a new friend, and that friend was the whole reason why she got into this cult, really. And, you know, the friend had a boyfriend, and so really it was just like the friend, the boyfriend, the few people that we saw. I think we only really saw one of the now next vampires, and that was the one who was courting Agatha, whose name I can't remember, and he was the leader. I feel so bad that I keep on forgetting his name. I'll put it on the screen. And then we have Lamb, and we see some of his crew a little bit. Not much, though. And then we have two creatures that we don't really talk to. And then, well, we kind of talk to. There was the water one that we saw, and then the mountain dragon creature, if I remember correctly. Those two we talked to for a decent amount. Everyone else was kind of just by the wayside. Like the riot vampire people, we didn't really get to see them except for the Renaissance people we only saw for like a hot second. The people right after the Renaissance fair saw for a hot second, I think only like 2 chapters. And then we're expected to feel like they're being chased by these creatures for a while. I don't know, it just didn't feel like, I want more people. Maybe that's just me. There was Penny's boyfriend too. So, or ex-boyfriend I should say. But it's just, even in the first book, it just felt like it was only the 4, and then we had the mage, and then the humdrum, and then that was really it. And this one, granted, it does add a lot more characters. It just feels a little bit, the actual content of the book, the actual storyline, do enjoy. The whole idea of the magic system and the fact that there are evil vampires, but there are also like good vampires, and the fact that you can not turn someone when you're drinking from them, but you can also not kill them. It's a very interesting idea, and I wish that Baz explored that a little bit more. But yeah, I think I'm going to wrap up this video. That's really all that I want to say about this book for now. There's a lot more that I could say, but like I said earlier, we'd be here for literally hours, and I don't think anyone wants to see that. If you do, let me know in the comments down below. Also, tell me if you like the book, if you've read it. If you're not, tell me if you think you're interested in something like that. Although, if you haven't read the book, you're probably not at this part of the video. So leave a like if you like the video, and of course subscribe and hit the little bell icon down below, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!